Hi, let me record.
You
That's
already
all.
did.
I didn't.
Hello,
That's
is my
why I'm asking, but
Uh,
I didn't. Um, hi, hello. Yeah, it looks like it's recording, so I don't understand, but
No,
hopefully
looks like it's recording.
I'll
Says
get
it's
the
recording.
recording. Right, there's Sophia. Let's just let her in. Hello, everybody. You're all very excited to see each other. Like, look at somebody on the screen and say hi. See what happens. See if they know it's you. Hi, hi,
Hi.
hi, hi, hi. See if they know it's you that's saying hi to them, yeah?
Yeah.
Hello, Sophs. Alrighty.
Point at the person you're saying hi to.
I know Anastasia can't make this call, and Shane PJ is in hospital, for those of you that like to send her some love, so she's not joining us today either. Let me just see who else we might be waiting for. I know Natasha's going to join us in the background.
No, Natasha's there. Nadine's just joined.
Brendan's here, Heather's here, Hilda's here, Sophia's here, Nicolette's here, Marie's here, Nadine's here, Lalani's here, Nomutemba's here, PJ's not here. Natasha's here, Ren is in Rome, so she's not joining us. That's all of us. Hi!
And read AI.
And Read AI is here, that's the most important part of all. It's weird when I can't hear your voices, so you are allowed to take yourself off mute if you'd like to, because like it's all very silent. So you can say hi. Alrighty. As per usual, I would like to be much further along in readiness for this call than I am. So I warn you about that up front, and I promise you it's not for lack of effort.
Dan's been up since 5 this morning working.
We are properly
We're busy, yeah.
busy at the moment, so I'm hoping that you will indulge me today with helping us co-create something, as opposed to have us have it all ready for you and say this is what you're going to do, and we're going to do that. So if you're willing, luckily they moved the starting one from tomorrow to next week, so that gives us a little bit of space. But if you're willing, I'm hoping that you will indulge me. So if you don't want to be part of co-creating it, you're welcome to drop off the call now. And then we'll set up another briefing session for next week sometime, probably one very early morning. But now that you're all here, Marie and Safia, have we had any progress? No, on visas? No. Alright, I assume Joanna's on it, so we'll just let Namibia do what Namibia does. So
Joanna's
don't
quite
worry, if you
good.
get your visa an hour before the flight, I can tell you a lady that can print it for you in the airport. Don't worry. Ask me how I know.
Let's not do that.
We can't even get to log onto the system. So like
Oh, hectic.
it's joyful stuff right now. Okay, let me. I feel like I need to hear your voices.
Right, to check in.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's
Oh,
it?
hello.
Hello.
Sawubona. Hello, girl. Hello,
Hello,
sister.
girl. There you go, sister. I
Hey,
like it.
bro.
It's better. Like then I can like. I'm not just talking at you. I feel like yeah. Give us one word of how your day is going today, Nomatemba.
So far, quite calm. Like I feel free
Oh,
and open.
oh, lovely. Can I have some of that? Marie, one word to describe your day so far?
Fascinating.
Fucking fascinating. Nicolette, it's lovely to see your face. What's one word that describes your day so far?
Busy.
Busy. Heather?
Organized.
Oh, that's lovely. Nadine?
Angry.
Hungry or angry?
Hungry.
Hungry.
I've had a day a full day, like 3 hours thing at the gym because I'm trying to get ready to walk the Willie Fights trail with plantar fasciitis. It's not a clever idea.
No,
Ah.
it's not.
So
You do know you have choice in this.
yeah, the thing is I do want to do it.
Yeah, but do you want to hurt yourself doing it?
Sophia, one word that describes your day so far?
Hit and miss.
Hit and miss. It's a good one. Hilda?
Active.
Productive. You look very beautiful. This pink and black. It's all very very, very sorted. Stacy.
Surprisingly calm.
You look suspicious about it. Like
I am. I feel like whenever it's quiet, it feels like I'm missing something because it's been so crazy. So maybe I should just enjoy the calm a little bit. But yeah, it makes me nervous.
Did we manage to do that payment, or are you waiting for me to do something on that?
I have sent you an invoice.
Okay, cool. I'll do that after this then. Brendan!
Yeah, my car is the way that's coming out, but yeah.
Jimika.
You also look very pretty, a lot like Hilda. You look very pretty today.
Thank you.
Lilani?
I also had deurmekaar, but I'm playfully deurmekaar.
Okay. What's your one word?
This kind of Jimika. I'm frazzled a bit.
Frazzled. I'm just gonna say, getting on with it. Getting on with it.
Just get on with it.
Get on with it. Next.
Natasha, do you have a word?
Oh, Natasha's in the background. Yes, she's driving.
Multitasking, yeah.
Multitask. Well, please drive safe. This is being recorded, so we're fully comfortable if you can't be present here with us. Okay, guys, so let me take you through the story and where we are with these things. We definitely seem to be RMB's flavor of the month, and that's keeping us very busy, and so we will ride that wave for as long as we can. I'm going to talk about some of these things. Safia and Brendan and Eric and I have also been in the background working on some stuff for the CEO of the bank in terms of the RMB way. So it seems like, Safia, I haven't given you the feedback, it seems like they've approved it and it's a go that we're going to be using that. So we're busy figuring out how to support them with that. But let me take you through this piece of work. I am also going to talk a little bit about how it fits into some of the broader pieces of work, because there's going to be some stuff coming up. So feel free to ask questions. So I'm going to set the frame, and I'm going to talk about like what we're going to be doing in these masterclasses, and then I'm going to ask you to help me co-create some of the content for the masterclasses, and there's a template and a thought process for that. So there is this thing going on in RMB, and some of you may have heard it as you're busy working through some of the other areas in the bank, called the segment operating model. It's called SOM is the way that it's shortened, segment operating model. Essentially what it means is a restructure of where business units fit into RMB. So recently, or when I say recently, since last year, RMB first went out and bought HSBC. So HSBC is another bank that they've bought. So it's not a merger. They've bought them. And as part of that, there's a guy that was very senior at HSBC. He's come into the First Rand organization named Ish. And essentially what they're wanting to do is to start to create what they're calling a corporate bank. Now, for those of you that want to glaze over as I describe some of this, you're welcome to glaze over, but I'll just describe it. Within First Rand Bank is a holding company. There's a retail bank, which is called FNB, and there's a merchant bank, which is called RMB. These two brands have long existed, coexisting next to each other, and have probably a mutually beneficial relationship, but choose to be irritated with each other. Like RMB is better than this and FNB is better than that, blah, blah, blah. There's always been areas in the bank that don't naturally fit into merchant banking or into retail banking. They kind of fit between. And for a very, very long time in RMB, there's always been, where do they belong? And sometimes they go into the merchant bank and they try and create a home for them there. And sometimes they go into the FNB and they try and create a home for them there. And sometimes, which is where we're back at now, they want to create a middle part, which is called the corporate bank. So the corporate bank is essentially going to house everything that fits between FNB and RMB. So merchant banking is about structuring and trading and doing deals in the market. Retail banking is obviously about servicing the client on the street. And corporate banking is around sort of like big corporates. How do we bank big corporates? So you can well imagine if you've been in the bank long enough, we're just in the next new leader coming in, we're going to go back into the middle, then another, and that swings and roundabouts of corporate. It's a little bit like if you've ever worked in corporate, there will forever be the debate, is IT deployed or centralized? Do we put central IT together or do we deploy them? This is just corporate.
Yvette calls it the corporate concertina because it's always doing this. We go to the center, then we go to the decentralized, then we go to the center, we go to decentralized. She calls it the corporate concertina. I said it does make music though. She says in a fashion, yeah.
So we're at a segment operating model is essentially the creation of this corporate banking kind of housing. What it is also more importantly about is a shift of focus from being product driven to being client driven. So for a very long time in RMB in particular, they've calculated their whole system and orientated their whole structure around products. So, trading products would be together, investment products would be together, etc., etc. But what they've realized is that they've lost client focus along the way. So if a client's doing things across products, who looks after the client? And so they've decided that that's really important, that they want to shift this to a client focus. So that's what segment means, is the client segment. So they want an operating model around the segments of clients, which is why corporate bank, because it's a different segment of clients, and merchant bank is a segment of clients. All of this is just to give you some sort of perspective so that as people are talking to you about it, you're not going like, what the fuck is it? Obviously, as coaches, we don't need to know any of this, but I do find for many of us it's kind of useful to have something to the extent that you can understand it. You're not going to write a test and nobody's going to ask you what does segment operating model mean, and if you do, you can say phone Tarot and then that'll be fine. But it's just useful to have some context, I imagine, around that.
It's got nothing to do with oranges or surgeons.
How did we get there?
Segments and oranges and surgeons in operating theatres. They're laughing, Tan. I win.
I can't hear them. And I'm not looking at them, so they're not.
I win. I made them laugh.
It's fascinating to see how your brain works. I was like, how anyway.
What else could SOM stand for?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Sex.
Yeah, no, I knew you were going there. I knew it. Stacey knew it too because she's worked with us on Durab.
Sad, ominous music. That's what it's
Sad, ominous music. So, this change has been going on for quite some time. If you've worked in R&B for a while, you would have heard people going, there's so much change, there's so much change, there's so much change. Because at the same time, First Strand seems to be getting quite irritated with all the brands and wants to get a lot more structured and dogmatic. So they're getting far more, you shall do what we say, as opposed to you have freedom to do your own thing. R&B responds very well to being told what to do, so that's going down like a treat. So there's all these things that are going on. But as guests specifically, when we start looking at people, it is moving people around, so it means changing my leader. So the person I work for, the brand I'm in, these are real personal changes that happen for people. And we can tell them it's not a big deal, but who you work for is a big deal. And being able to, know that is important in this process.
If I used to work for FNB, I had an FNB email address. Suddenly I'm moving to RMB, now I'm going to get an RMB email address. My color is no longer turquoise, now I'm black. It becomes, it's jolts. Like a lot of people have identity issues around their employer. I mean, certainly I do. So.
And even more complicated than that, and some people they're saying, I work at RMB, but we're leaving you on the FNB payroll because it's too hard. So actually now, where do I belong? There's a lot of HR processes that need to catch up with all of the changes that are happening. So people are changing teams, they're changing their leader, they're changing their brand, and all of them are going like, for what? Why? Again, kind of thing. So this is a kind of experience and mindset. We've also got HSBC is now part of RMB. Some of you have been working in the bank long enough to have heard people talk about Project Pyramid. Project Pyramid has actually been the HSB onboarding. So that's been integrating the systems and the technology and all these things from HSBC. And of course, there are people that are coming from HSBC that also now form part of these teams. All of this sort of stuff that's going on. So, to cut a long story short as to how we come into it, the 80 Degrees program has seemingly been a very successful program in the bank. Everywhere we go, everybody talks to us about 80 Degrees and the impact it's having and how it's so impactful and meaningful and all these sorts of things. And so there now is lots of bespoke work that's coming from that, because what the organization is realizing is how bad they are at conversations and how the conversation intelligence in the organization, if we had to use that as a word, is quite low. And the people that are going on 80 Degrees, of which we've had 3 groups now, are really seemingly being quite impactful in the business. People are asking, what happened?
What happened to that guy?
Like, how have you changed? And like, actually, you're far more useful in a meeting. So it's not coming from them experiencing the change, because people are asking what it is. And so there's a lot of attention on 80 Degrees and the skills that we've got.
I'm saving electricity because we don't have any.
It's back on.
It's not. It is back on.
It's back on.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, good. There be lights.
Fiat looks. That's Latin for let there be light.
So that's how we got to do this work. There's been a whole lot of conversations with us because 80 Degrees is so impactful. Now, 80 Degrees is the leadership development program. Many of you know that. And it's been designed for the top 200 leaders of the bank. But now they're saying, fine, the top 200 leaders can go in the bank, but there's this whole organization, and this whole organization needs conversation skills. So they're asking us to do a whole lot of conversation skills. So we have designed a program. Well, we've sold a program. Just make sure that distinction is very clear.
They have sold it.
In everybody's, they have bought a program called Conversations the RMB Way.
Mm.
And that's a 3-module program for any team in the bank to go through to learn about how to have more impactful conversations. So we've got 80 Degrees, which is the leadership development conversation program, but there's going to be a program called Conversations the RMB Way, which is, as I said, 3 modules. We have one area of the bank that wants to pilot that. They're called Global Markets. They have 1,300 people. They've asked us for dates. You will soon be on our WhatsApp group about that. So that's going to be starting later. So we've got 80 Degrees. We've got this Conversations the RMB Way that we need to start setting up logistics around. But in between that, they want to start initiating this idea of conversation masterclasses. And the conversation masterclasses is they'd really like us to start running sort of 2-hour masterclasses with people around different kinds of conversations. This started off, the original thinking came from, could you do a masterclass around how to have a performance feedback conversation, for example, or how to have a grief conversation, or how to have this kind of conversation. So if you think of the 80 Degrees and the Conversations RMB Way about skills, the masterclasses are about, this is a conversation you can have, and this is how to navigate that kind of conversation. As they were talking about all of this, there was a team put together that was busy trying to figure out how to manage the change of the segment operating model. And so they then turned to us and said, can we design a set of conversation masterclasses to help them with the segment operating model? So in a way, these are the first set of masterclasses that we will do, and there will be other masterclasses that in all likelihood will follow. And so that's what brings us here today, is the 8 conversations I have put on the schedule that you have your name assigned to, is the segment operating model change masterclasses, the conversation masterclasses that we want to have. What it gives us is it gives us a starting point for these kinds of masterclasses, and whilst we're running it now for this specific change, we actually want to design the masterclasses that they can be run for any kind of change. If you're going through change, here's a set of conversations you can have. You may have seen or not seen as yet, we've sold let me just make sure my language is always clear. We've sold, we're busy designing. 5 masterclasses for leaders. So if you're a line manager, what are the conversations you can be having with your team or team members? And then they also asked us to design 3 that were for people going through the change. So anybody in the organization going through the change. I'll put up those the content of those now for you. So 2 hours, big groups, and we have no idea if it will be a big group or how big it'll be. We do need to know this has been driven by HR. That brings with it its whole own story of complexity. So firstly, people don't always engage with HR initiatives. Like, it's like HR is doing it to us. So HR is trying to help and add value, but whether people say, oh, this is helpful and add value, that'll be there. But we do have a whole lot of leaders in the bank that are firm favorites of what we're doing, so that should help. And HR is telling the leaders in the bank these master classes are available and asking the leaders to promote for their teams to go on the master classes. But it is an opt-in, it is a sign-up, and it is a process that we may end up in a room. Some of you did Calm in the Chaos, and there's 2 people there, or there's 200 people there. So, like, I can't tell you that guaranteed up front. And even though we have registrations, you know, people will arrive at last minute or just decide not to pitch. Like, we are dealing with that level of complexity when it comes to who's in the room and how many are in the room. They have decided at this point to run 1 in-person and 1 online session for each of the topics. So we'll start with online because it was easier to find venues if we went a little bit later on. And so the online sessions will start us, and then we'll do the in-person. So we want to design it to be able to be done on both. We don't want a different experience. And the in-person ones are essentially auditorium style, like 150 people in the room. You're standing there. So it's not going to be this highly interactive thing, but of course we're Lightwalker. We want to create as much opportunity for self-reflection and integration and thinking through things as possible. So that is why we have assigned 3 of you to each masterclass, because, and I've called 2 as leads and 1 as support. I originally had 2 coaches, but given that we actually don't know how many people there are, if you have 100 people in the room, 3 of you is more useful. Of course, if there's 2 people in the room, Yahtzee, like, well, then they really, aren't they lucky? They get tag coaching, like, on steroids. But I've called 2 leads and 1 support. But I, as we always do, kind of think you guys will get together and figure out what that means. The support person for me is the person in the background helping hold the room and move around and do what needs to be done, with the 2 lead coaches leading the content and that sort of thing. It in no way indicates I think some people are more special or better than others. It's more about that, and as you've even seen on the rate, the payment is the same for all 3 roles. So like, you can decide how to work it. Even on the online sessions, I think 3 of you is useful, because 1 person, the support person, can manage the chat, whilst the other 2 people bounce off the content and create enough energy to bring the content to life. So that's how I see that working, but we can talk about that. So let me pause there and just see if there's any questions or thoughts or reflections, anything anybody wants to know. I know it's always this enormous brain dump of information I give you, which I apologize for, but hopefully it's helpful. Anybody got any reflections or questions around what I've shared? Clarity needed. I'm clearly clear.
Clearly.
I'm clearly clear.
Clear.
That means I'm clear.
Clearly.
Clearly. It's funny.
Karen laughs, I win.
So we've been trying to figure out a template for this, because if we're going to do these on repeat, I think if we can create some kind of template that allows the process to flow. And on 80 degrees, a way that we talk about the skills for conversations is we talk about a compass. We've actually created a skills compass that everybody gets on 80 degrees. So we've used this idea, it's with the climbing the mountain, and there's a compass that you can use for navigating the skills. We will take that compass ideas into leading the RMB way, but in the RMB way stuff, which is what we've been working on lately, we've given them the metaphor of a constellation. That the RMB way principles, like you've seen those principles, some of you, we say it as it is.
There's seven like little statements they've got. This is the RMB way. We win as one. We say it like it is. We don't pass the buck. We carry it. There's 7 of them.
We create positive energy.
We create positive energy is one, and so we've created, or Terence created, a constellation of stars. And each star is a separate principle, and then the constellation is in fact the RMB lion, which is really quite fun.
So we've got the RMB way is navigating by the stars. Look up, take a breath. The sky is always there. They really like the metaphor because the sky is always the sky. And no matter which country you're in, it's the sky. It doesn't matter which brand you're in, it's the sky. You can navigate by the stars. In 80 degrees, we've got navigating by the compass, which obviously there's a relationship between the compass and the stars. And for this, we're saying navigating like a map, a road map. So if you're going on a road trip, how would you navigate that road map? So all 3 are navigating, one with compass, one with stars, and obviously at some point we'll bring those all together, Brendan.
Okay, so I was like, are we using the RMB way in these masterclasses?
No.
That hasn't been approved yet.
No, not yet.
We 95% at approval with Emery and Normza, who's CEO and head of human capital. There's a little bit of they had another consulting team doing some of the work, but now they must make some choices. And so then they've got a leadership day on the 11th of November. No, the 11th of June. November. I wish I'm like, it's nearly time to go and leave. On the 11th of June, and they're going to be introducing the constellation idea there.
Yeah.
I can send you the presentation. I think Sophia and Brendan have seen it.
It's very cool.
It's very cool.
It is.
So for the conversations today, I'm going to share with you what the conversations are now. We would like to use this idea of a map. If you think of a road trip, like I want to go to Cape Town. And so we're kind of thinking of if we could do a template, and I'll show you what I've got so far and to get your ideas, and that's where we can start co-creating, is imagine every conversation you could just give people like an A3 sheet and they fill in their own map. What is the destination? What do I get, like what are the sightseeing things I get to go see when I'm there? Like why would I want to go? What's the vehicle condition need to be in? What's the environmental factors we need to take into account? What's passenger safety that we need to create for people coming on the trip? What's the meeting points? What's the hazards? What's the choice points, the route points that we can calculate? I haven't put that one yet.
Okay,
I'll fix that now. We can put it on. Do we have to put it on? No, we don't need to. So that's the idea we have for these, is to really simplify every conversation down into a map. And essentially, like at RMB, they would be able to have all these maps that people could download and say, okay, this is a change conversation map. So that's what we'd like to do, and we're hoping that that'll work. That would then be our facilitation guide as well, as we'd take them through creating their map. Like, what's the destination? Why go to this destination? Is it worth the trip at all? What are your fears of this? Like, what would stop you from taking it? All these sorts of playing with that sort of metaphor. So that's what we'd like to co-create and craft with you today, is like how to bring that to life and how to find the content for the 8 conversations that we are needing to run. I will share it all physically with you. I'll show it to you now. But any thoughts or questions around that, you can also tell us. It's very cool, because I'm quite open to some validation at this point in time. So if you want to say that, it's also okay. Sophie's just laughing at me, which is, thank you, Hilda. It was very nice of you to do that. Even though I asked for it, it's meaningful. Oh, and a clap. Not just a celebration. All right. Yes.
I love the whole link between the compass, the constellation, and the map. It's really brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Shall we show you the constellations come together quite nicely?
Why can I see the sextant?
Eric just wants a sextant.
What?
Yeah, that's my problem. I think everybody knows what a sextant is. Nobody knows what a sextant is.
Yeah, and now you have a lot of samples because we
I
brought
do.
this up a few times
No,
now.
I have, and nobody knows
And
nothing.
everybody goes, huh? And then he tries to explain how to use it. It's not nearly as sexy as it sounds.
No, what is it?
It's a way. So before GPS in the like 1700s, how do you know where you are in the world?
With a compass.
Well, the compass is only if you're on the sea. How do you know where you are to use a compass? You have to know where you are somehow. But you're in the middle of the ocean. Where's the middle though?
They use the stars, don't they? I don't know.
Yeah, they use the stars, but how did they use the stars?
With a sextant, Brendan. Just
With
say
a
with a
sextant.
sextant.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
No, so that's how they did it. That's how they did it. They had to know. You have to know how high the sun is, so you can see how far away you're from the equator, and you have to know what the time is, so you can see how far away you are from Greenwich, and then you can work out where you are.
Okay, I just want to do something here very quickly, and then I'm going to share with you. This is now going to be
Anyway,
root choices.
I really thought that was quite clever, but nobody knows nothing about no sextants.
I'm just making one change on
disappointed
the
by that.
document. No, he is. He's very sad. We even have a group around with the person we're needing to work with around the RMB way, and he's even sent a whole video about the
I have not seen the video.
or a description.
I think they look quite cool as well. Clarence says we're going to have a telescope to look at the stars with.
Yeah, not a sextant.
We're not
People
doing it,
understand telescopes.
Mm.
What choices do you have? I just want to. All right, sorry guys, I'm going to share this with you right now. I just want to get one little picture here. What is that thing called? Directions, arrows, choices. What?
Signpost.
That's the word I'm looking for. All right, so let me show you what we've got. 1, 3.
This one, yeah.
I'll show you what we got, and then we can play a little bit. The idea was, of course, to have all 8 conversations all ready for you, very nicely mapped out, and everything would have been fine. But we're not there. We're not there.
We're not there.
We're not there. Okay. This is a template of what I've created so far for the map that we can start using. You can see my screen here, yeah? Let me move you guys off the mouse right here. Let's see if I can make it a bit bigger. So think of this as an A3 page, and that you would facilitate a person through. So there's a conversation map at the top here, which is this one's for Change Conversation Masterclass 1. We can refine this. This conversation is about caring about the impact of changes on people. I'll talk through each of them now, and you'll see a little description here. A conversation to explore the experience of your team member. What are the stories they're telling themselves, and what loss are they facing through this change? This creates a human connection and starts the process of building trust and empowerment. So essentially what we're wanting leaders to get is give a shit about what people are going through, and realize loss is normal, and can you sit and have a conversation with them without taking on board responsibility for it? And so how do we then navigate this? And the thought we've had is like, there's a destination. What's the purpose of this conversation? If it's spelled properly, it's even much better. If you actually got there, the local attractions, what would you see when you get there? So a little bit of not only the purpose, but the benefits. Like to start seeing how, like being there is better than being where you are now. Then we've got environmental factors. Please know that we can change this. So this I've literally done in the last 45 minutes. So it's work in progress, not finalized. Environmental factors. What mood do I need to be in for this conversation?
It's a state thing.
So that's a state thing. Passenger briefing. How is the people feeling? What do they need to know about from me in this conversation? So that's a framing thing. Vehicle safety, what do I need to do to make this a safe conversation? So this is how we can create. Do I need to make it bigger, Lilani? Is that better? Is that more helpful? And then the meeting point, Where are we going to start? What are the hazards? What could go wrong? What are our route choices? We can switch this around. When would we need to take a break, a rest stop, and obviously we can add anything else onto it. But our hope is that in 2 hours, this would give a template for quite a rich and meaningful sort of thing, and you'd be able to use this for each conversation, so people can start to get into the rhythm of thinking about it and get some skills. So let me hear your thoughts around this as a template. You're welcome to pull it apart, you're welcome to add to it, you're welcome to say what you think is working with it or not working with it. Let me just try and make it so I can see it properly for you. So any thoughts? Anybody want to add anything? I'm really happy to change any of these questions or add anything on, or if you even think it'll work. If we don't think it'll work, then we can try something else, I guess. So anybody got any thoughts?
It's a question.
Yeah.
Maybe perhaps I'm thinking of maybe linking just on the previous work that we're doing on this, and just on the framing, on the stuff that we did on not interrupting and those principles and so on. Where would they sit on the map? Is it a framing thing, or are they part of the course?
So you see, this is the challenge. So you're quite right, is that the skills is not happening in the masterclasses as much as the skills are happening in conversations the RMB way and in the 80 degrees. So the masterclasses are not about skills, it's about what to do. With that being said, they're not skilled. So we absolutely can bring in tips. So maybe there's somewhere we can say tips for the conversation, or like, to me it's part of the hazards. You know, like if you interrupt, if people are getting emotional, how do you handle it? So whilst this isn't a skills based, in 2 hours we're not developing all the skills, but we can certainly reinforce: don't interrupt, be comfortable with emotion, set the frames, don't ask why, all these sorts of things. We would do that, but it's not that as the primary focus. These are more supportive. Does that make sense when I describe it that way?
Got you. I'm trying to integrate with the previous stuff, but
Yes.
yeah, got you.
Yeah, very, very helpful. And that's why we are doing it. Because we have that, and if it's coming up in the room, you can drop that in and you can work with it and that sort of thing. Sophia.
I'm wondering if there isn't also a value to add or to include like myths.
Myths. Oh,
Yeah.
that could work. Let's do this here. So like myths of what this is about, is that what you're saying?
Or myths about things happening in particular conversations.
So give us an example, please. Or give me an example. Maybe everybody knows it.
No.
A myth might be that I can't have a boundary.
Okay.
A myth might be that I can't speak to someone in authority.
I'm not allowed to be upset.
Or even emotions mean a bad attitude, or something like this sort of thing.
So I suppose what beliefs I have about the conversation. I believe the conversation is going to go poorly. I believe the person's going to get emotional. I believe the person's already angry at me. I believe, this person doesn't like me. I don't know.
I'm going to damage the relationship if I talk about this.
Yeah.
If I have this conversation, it's one and done.
Okay, we'll fix the language of it now. Brendan, do you think that could go here under environmental factors as well?
I was thinking that goes on, I suppose it's environmental factors or hazards, or, I suppose before you start a road trip, you get a sort of, you have an idea of what you expect the road to look like. It's almost like expectations in a way. I don't know.
Okay.
The road conditions or road report or weather report.
Yeah, something along those lines.
That's what this actually should say, weather report.
Yeah, I think that's great. You want to know?
Yeah, expectations I have for the conversation.
No.
Expectations and fears, I guess.
Yeah. weather report, traffic report, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to put it here for now. More plans. Okay, other thoughts?
And what section are you going to put this idea that you can't have real conversations online? That online is such an excuse. I think that was what I was thinking when I originally said myths.
Oh, okay.
So testing the idea, can it be an online or an in-person conversation? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I'm like, one of the things that we always get is, yeah, but since COVID and we're online, we can't have real meetings or real connection. And
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all part of the weather reports and the expectation of fears.
Yeah.
But it's useful to have all these things. Whether we put these as 3 different ones or just put this here. Because I think maybe the local attractions is not as necessary as this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I kind of like the idea of what are we going to get from the conversation, right? Because it's not about just having a conversation for the sake of having a conversation. Like we're going on this journey for a reason, right? Like we're not just driving for the sake of driving.
Got the destination.
For me, then the what will we see when we get there, and like I say, in terms of what Brendan is saying, is more around then the expectations and fears. Like for me, the expectations and fears is part of what am I expecting to do when I get there? What am I going to see? Kind of thing. So for me, it's almost one and the same.
Okay.
Or grouping.
Yeah, I guess we had this more as benefits, but not the myths and
Okay.
fears and that sort of thing. But I think both are there. So, yeah, I think this expectation and fears
So on the myths, and maybe it's the expectations and fears as well, but it feels more strongly for me the myths. If I'm in this,
You've gone silent, Minala, we can't hear you.
I don't know if we're the only ones
I
who
don't
can't
know
hear
what's
you.
happening.
Can anybody else hear Leilani? You guys can. Somebody else talk so I can see if it's just Leilani or something on our side.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes.
Stacey? Okay.
I'm going to
Oh,
mute.
no? There we can hear
No,
you
it's
again.
okay, you're back.
Right. Okay. So I was just thinking in this analogy of driving and following the map and being in a vehicle. I'm curious if the myths can maybe be like a soundtrack, like the music that's playing in the background. That is
Yeah.
informing beliefs, I guess, and one can press forward or skip the song basically, or
Yeah, Hilda put in the chat the thing from the coach training 2 weeks ago, which is what's in it for me, WIIFM, right? The radio station,
That's
which
very
I think is
clever.
quite clever, actually.
Why can't I
Yeah.
see the chat?
I went on a 4-day road trip once and we only had one tape in the car. I
That's
can't remember what it
awful.
was.
Really?
It's a joke.
I think it would be ingrained in your brain by now.
Yeah, no, it was a joke.
Yeah, okay, that's
I
fine.
can't see the
Sorry.
chat.
Hilda's is shaking her head.
I don't know why I can't see the chat. Is there anything else in the chat? So just now I can't see the chat. So
I
rather,
got you. I got the chat. Don't worry.
thank you. Otherwise,
I'll
rather chat.
got
I
you.
can log in and then.
That's
Yeah,
fine, so that
chat
you
for
can
me.
also type in the chat.
Yeah, there you go.
That's in the conversations thing. Do you want to close my door? All right. Other thoughts? I think that's very useful. We'll play around with the templates more. Any other thoughts?
Can you make your Canva full screen? Just so we can't see the background. So just click the little green button in the top left.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Chat. Is that
Yeah.
better?
Perfect. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for asking. Other thoughts? Anybody hating this? Like, this is never gonna fucking work, Taryn. Like, what kind of planet are you on? Anybody got that going on? No. Thank God. All right. Any other thoughts of what needs to be on here? Radio silence. There's no soundtrack.
so, I mean, I don't know if it is in there already by the rest stop or if it's different. But when you do a long road trip, then you need like what is that thing on the side?
Yeah, the plecky.
Passenger.
The garage where you go pee, and then you
A pit stop. Like a
refuel.
pit stop.
It's a pit stop.
Whereas
Yeah,
a rest
rest stop.
stop is like
Let's change this.
picnic on the side of the road, right?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's change this to pit stop. I think that's. I think that's more
And
useful.
like I think
Like
the
it's
idea of the
refuel.
refueling for me.
Yeah. I think we can call it pit stop or refuel.
Well, I prefer pit stop because at the pit stop you refuel, you also relieve yourself and
Okay.
take a
Stretch. You also
walk,
check if there's anything that needs to
stretch.
change in terms of the car, pump the tires, check the oil, water, whatever the case is.
Greet uncomfortably, smile uncomfortably to other people.
Greet uncomfortably.
Also check your progress there, I guess.
Yeah, you
That's
can.
are we on track? Are
And
we
check
still
your
going in the right
routes.
direction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing, I don't know if it's relevant in one conversation, but it's communication. Because I remember when we went on a road trip in convoy to Mozambique, we downloaded a walkie-talkie app on our cell phones that we can actually communicate with other cars. I mean, I don't know if that's something that they need to factor in or if it's even relevant to this conversation.
We bought walkie-talkies.
Yeah, we actually
have
bought.
walkie-talkies.
I think it's quite cool. I'm just trying to think where we can put that.
I suppose that goes into well, I don't know if it's passenger briefing or not, but it's in that sort of category.
I think the idea of driving in convoy is useful.
Yeah.
Is it not vehicle safety?
Yeah,
Part of
maybe.
vehicle safety
Yeah.
is how do we communicate with
Yeah.
each other, maybe. I don't know.
No, I think that is.
But I mean, I guess when you start a journey, we, like Brendan and Karen and I, we went on a convoy up to Mjechan. And then we actually discussed, okay, here's the walkie-talkie, how are we going to work? How, who's going to overtake who, under what circumstances, where we're going to reconvene. So that was all, it was all the passenger briefing before we even started.
Yeah.
Didn't you get a flat that time, Brendan?
My windscreen cracked, yeah.
It was a windscreen, that's right.
Right. You guys have a good memory. I just remember the pool and the drinking. Right.
And the
And
game
then-
drives, Taryn.
Yeah. Yeah, Hilda?
No, it's Stacey.
It's
I have a
Stacey, yeah.
question. Are these conversations meant to be sort of like one-on-one, like the template we're creating, or is it sort of a group thing? The reason I'm asking is I'm kind of thinking along the lines of like the passenger briefing or the rules. It's like sort of do we sort of know whose job is whose? The way you say like the passenger is then in charge of the radio and this person is in charge of navigation, whatever. Is it a one-on-one so there isn't roles per se?
They can choose. So we wanted
Okay.
to be, if you wanted to have a team conversation, you'd do this differently to if you were having a one-on-one. And in itself, just getting them to understand the difference can be valuable, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you're going to have is there a specific person you're thinking about? So then you can do this. And like the idea is to actually give people a prep tool for conversations that they can like start thinking about how to have a conversation and that sort of thing. Because they go into conversations just like, oh, we'll go and tell them. Okay, like what are you going to tell them? And what do you want them to know? And what's important about it? So that's what the hope is. Like, you got to remember, it's 2 hours with a large group of people. So we need to create the space that whilst we're training it, I think we're far more taking people through a way to think about it and prepare themselves for it and to know the value of it. So, I mean, we can train people how to drive to Cape Town, but actually preparing to drive to Cape Town, getting ready for it and doing it yourself and making sure that really is the purpose of these masterclasses. Does that make sense? Does that answer that question, Stace?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Hilda
Okay.
put in the chat, I know we spoke a little bit about state earlier. I don't remember where it is on the page, which said driver state of mind before the trip. Yeah, I think because is that on the page state anyway? Like what state do I have to be in?
It was on weather reports. It used to be
Okay.
environmental factors, and now
Yes, yeah, sure.
No, but we can call it driver. It doesn't have to be weather reports. I mean, it is about the driver etiquette,
I'm just
responsibility.
thinking, like, would these people have been on like the calm and the chaos? So just kind of linking
Not
it
necessarily.
And
okay.
highly unlikely.
Okay.
These are, you're going to be working with leaders that come from all over the place. So these are not just ops people. The Sunrise City stuff that we've been doing is just operations. This is for the whole of RMB. Operations is small. So you won't be able to refer to Sunrise City or the Six Pillars or any of these things. It'll be foreign to most people in this. So yeah. So we can integrate in some of that philosophy because we know it's valuable. Does that make sense,
Like
Heather?
driver,
Yeah.
Okay. Ilda?
I like the driver readiness because it's really, that's the self-awareness, right? It's like, what do I need? Where do I need to be? What's my state? Yeah, I like readiness there.
So if you're thinking as facilitators of being able to take people through this, to be able to have a conversation, like obviously direct people, I mean, one of the things we can do is have one that's filled in, of course, like as the facilitators, we'll create the facilitation guide around this and start to say like, you know, almost have a pre-filled in template. But I don't want to give people a pre-filled out template because I think that just ruins the opportunity of them learning. Brendan, are you in a car?
It looks like I am now. I
Well,
wanted to get in the right mindset, so I needed to get in a car.
well, you can use that for when you're training it online. You'll have to tell
Exactly.
everybody how you did that so we can get there. Eric, I don't know if you can do it on Teams though. Eric?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
I wonder if it's worthwhile them exploring what skills they need. That's a kind of a upsell of come on the conversation, like the actual
Come on,
skills.
80 degrees.
But also come on, well, they can't opt into that. A lot of these guys can't opt into that. But if we're doing skills training, it might be worthwhile them like just realizing what skills they're going to need. Not to frighten them away, but to say like, I don't know if it's worthwhile.
I have also spoken to Chantal about can we promote the conversations the RMB way in these programs as if you want more skills and you want your team to develop the skills, then just contact Chantal to set this up or contact us to set this up. So I think we can name that on the ones for the personal change. I think we want to promote Ignite, but I'm not sure they've made that decision yet. But I think we can, and we can do, I don't know where to put it, but we can do, like I also want to make sure that we don't put in too much stuff.
Stuff here wants to speak.
Yeah, I've seen. Just adding your skills.
So I thought that might go under driver readiness. When Hilda was talking, I thought,
Okay. All right, what mood do I need to be in and what skills may I need?
What skills can I concentrate on or what skills can I apply? Because,
Okay.
I mean, they already have skills. We don't want to say you can't have this conversation until you're skilled.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not great skills, but of course you're skilled. Sophia.
I sort of come back to the walkie-talkie idea. It might be somewhere between driver readiness and passenger briefing. I think many people on both ends of a conversation don't necessarily know that a conversation is a two-way street, especially given that we've been so email
Oriented.
Yeah.
That's amazing, yeah.
indoctrinated.
And I
And a
lost.
walkie-talkie is a two-directional, multi-directional instrument.
No, it's not communication, this is conversation.
Yeah.
Well, let's put a walkie-talkie here. Yeah, spelt it wrong, don't judge me. Right.
The term walkie-talkie was coined by the Americans in the Second World War.
Because you can walk and you can talk. That sounds like something Americans would make up.
Yeah, because they exactly, they had to walk and talk, and they had to call in the coordinates. So what happened is the German snipers were sniping, or the Japanese, and these guys with their walkie-talkies could call in the coordinates, and there was a person in head office who had like a full map, and they could, like, within 15 or 30 seconds they could bomb the exact place. So but that's where the walkie-talkie, I forget the exact model number, H217B or whatever. But those are the first walkie-talkies. Over.
Over. This is what you learn when you come on Light Walk Outcomes. So I think
Just a quick one.
what I really like about what you said is that we're both in the same car. Like, you can't ignore the passengers. The passengers impact the driver, and the driver impacts the passengers when you're in the car. So I think there's something there around the fact that these two things relate, and I think this dualness, I think we need to somehow make sure that's clear. So I'm just putting that arrow there for now so that we can play with that, because I think that is a profoundly valuable point. Yeah. Somebody was speaking. Brendan, was it you?
Yeah, I just want to, is this going to be, so this sheet, is it going to be the same for all the masterclasses? So each one has a theme, like this one is care, for example.
Yeah.
But the sheet is going to remain the same or similar, I assume.
That's the thinking. That's the thinking at this point in time. That's the thinking. If it doesn't work, we can change that thinking, but that's the thinking.
And just because, like, then as someone who's attending the masterclasses, like, obviously the theme is different, but like, I'm getting the same. I don't know. Am I getting the same thing every time, or?
You shouldn't. I mean, when you look at the topics, there should be very different things going on. That's why this isn't skills. The things you need to put down here are very much around, can you handle grief? If people are pissed off, can you handle the anger around it? So the content we need to put into here should be very different to a conversation of care, which is the next one, is about clear the path of obstacles. So know that this is done, and this is our real stretch, because we are very good at the skills part. We need to get to, like, if I had a session yesterday and they wanted prep for a feedback conversation. I said, what do you want to make sure you say?
Yeah.
How you say it, we can do there, but what's the key purpose? What are you wanting to say? What's the thing that needs to be done? So these things need to be very much more the what than the how, always. Yeah?
Nadine?
Go for it, Nadine.
Just to go back to your driver readiness and the passenger being in the same car, vehicle safety is almost like a container where is the appropriate to have that type of conversation.
What did you say? Is it appropriate to have that kind of conversation? What are you meaning?
The vehicle, like if you look at the two-way, we're in the same car.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to take a sports car on a 4x4 road, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And to add to that, like, if my wheels are out of alignment, then I'm going to swing across the road, which is bad. So let's not get confused about what conversation we're having.
Yeah.
If we're having a change conversation, then it's a change conversation. If it's a performance management conversation, it's a performance management conversation. They're not the same thing.
Yeah.
So we mustn't get, like, what's the English word? Diverted. The German word is Ablenkung.
Yeah, so that's why I mean, like, we're trying to see, can this metaphor help us give all the structure to these things, as you're saying, like, you're starting to noticing, and like, it is going to be tight facilitation, and it is going to be, but like, you want to weave people through the process of this conversation, and the care about the impact on them is a very different state they need to be in to when they're looking at sharing their strategy, for example. But don't think sharing your strategy is sharing. It's like caring for people. Like, nobody gives a fuck. So like we do need to get to the content, which is what we'll talk about now. It's whether this sort of template can help us make it meaningful, memorable, and also impactful. And as you say, Brendan, if I actually now see the template for a different conversation, I'm quite comfortable that they start getting used to the template. And that they can start thinking through that for this conversation, what's important stuff for us to know, kind of thing. But I'm also really open. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. We can create whatever we want to create. I just don't want to create a completely different new thing for every conversation. I think we'll drive ourselves mad. Yeah. Anybody else got any thoughts around this, or any ideas or changes, or things that you think are concerning about it?
Karen,
Mm.
can you talk us through what your intention is there by a meeting point?
So I literally thought, like, when are we going to meet? Like, when and where and how are we going to meet? So, you know, is this something, exactly to your point, you want to do in person or online? Do you want to do it on a Monday morning? Do you want to do it in your meeting? Do you need to set it up differently? If as you're sending out the invite, the worst thing in the world is for people not arrive prepared for the trip. So what do you need to say? How do you need to start this in a way? That was my thoughts around it. Does it make sense? Anybody else?
And then can you also talk us through route choices? What was your intentions by that particular?
I was wondering here, if I'm thinking about my team, like maybe some people have slightly different needs to others. So the route choice for somebody coming from HSBC or new in my team might be somebody different to the route choice I take with somebody I've worked with for a long period of time. So it's still the same conversation that we're going through, but actually I might need to do a little bit more of a scenic route with this person, whereas I can get more of a direct route with that person. That's kind of some of the thinking I had around that.
So I can see this template working with any number. Like it's really just like, what must I think through?
Yeah, exactly. It can become a thinking partner, and we would take them through, and obviously we are adding in all the layers of thought and complexity and skills and that sort of thing. And like they can then come to a 2-hour masterclass, a 2-hour working session where they walk away with being prepared for something they haven't even thought they needed to possibly be prepared for. All right.
I think I think there's such an appreciation for the metaphor, because all of us have been on road trips, and like Brendan said earlier on, his windshield got shattered, and there are some things where you can continue driving, but like if your tire goes wonky, you might actually have to stop the journey.
Yeah. That's why, I mean, there's hazards. I mean, we can do, like, obviously there's the vehicle hazards, there's passenger, but there's also, like, there could be potholes, or there could be suddenly there's a storm, or, you know, there's something that goes wrong, kind of thing. How are you going to handle that? So you're thinking it can work, Safia?
So I'm thinking of this as a preparation tool for a conversation, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sitting at my desk and I must prepare to have a conversation with either 1 or 20 people. And I'm wondering if we haven't actually reached capacity of what we can plot on a thing.
Exactly. The rest has to be figuring out the different ones.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I mean, I'm not averse to the fact that actually we give them a prep sheet, but we actually give them a sheet that's got information in it around a care conversation. So like we could have one that's got the content of these sorts of things that are in here with a couple of points that then they can flesh out to their own. So I'm not uncomfortable with that. I mean, we need to know the difference of each of these 8 conversations, knowing that we can do more. Like, what's the nuance of this conversation to the next conversation to the next conversation? Because that's what they should get from the opportunity to be in the 2 hours with us. It's not just the template, it's the nuance of this kind of conversation and thinking through it. And each of these conversations are different conversations to prepare for and to have. We're not saying have one conversation, we're saying you need many conversations through the change cycle. Does that make sense? All right, I'm going to stop sharing this for now. So, I guess as facilitators, the question is to start thinking about it, like, is this something that you could see working for you? Is to be able to take people through a little bit as the sort of guide of a conversation, and this is the structure that we can use around it. Because otherwise, I mean, we can design it differently. I just think it starts to get quite confusing.
I think the metaphor works, Taryn. And I guess if we got together and said, okay, the care conversation's got these components, and the performance conversation's got these components, and the strategy conversation's got these components.
Yes.
And I think that's also part of the framing to say, we're giving you a roadmap for a conversation. We're not giving you the skills. You know how to drive.
Yeah.
You might not be the best driver, but you do know how to drive.
Yeah.
So if you want driving lessons, we can give you advanced driving lessons.
Yeah.
There's that's available.
Yes.
But this is a map that you can use, and it's not the same as the other conversations. This is the care conversation.
Yeah.
And then we might just drop in, like a performance conversation would be very different.
Yeah.
Because then a strategy conversation would be very different. It's the same map, the same idea, just so that they know that it's not a generic thing. And we're only talking about this thing, and we're going to talk about this thing. So I think the metaphor can really work. I think it anchors it. It's visual. People can relate. I think certainly I can relate.
Eric, it's essentially a sextant.
So exactly right. It's a sextant. Thank you so much. It's a sextant. And what I realized is that the French word T-A-N-T, means so much, and the word sex. So it's sex and then T-A-N-T. So sextant.
So much sex.
So much sex.
All right. So now that we know what's on Eric's mind, but it's what's always on Eric's mind. So actually, it's not new information. It's not unique to today. If you're willing, we've got another 50 minutes. I'd like to ask if you're willing to kind of go into groups and look at the different conversations, so we can get some of the clarity of what's unique about each conversation that we can start putting into. I will then, and Eric will continue putting it together, and we'll do a briefing around it. But if you're willing to take sort of the template of thinking and say, okay, if it's this conversation, what's the key things under each of these points? Is that something you're willing to do? Is anybody, if you're unwilling, it's really okay. You can say, that's not what I signed up for, Taryn. I'm here to be told.
Can you put it can you put that image on the WhatsApp group?
I'm going to.
Thank
Give
you.
me 1 minute. So I want to just check. Yes.
While Taryn's taking her minute to do that, maybe I should give you some more trivia about some.
No, I want to share the kinds of conversations.
Okay.
You can do your trivia just now.
I was thinking while you send the WhatsApp.
No, I want to share the conversations first, and then I'll do the WhatsApp, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right. These are the 8 conversations we have solved.
Stacey's laughing at me. I win.
Oh God, stop winning.
Winning, yeah, wrong client, dude. That's the RP.
All right. So there's 2 different sections to this. I'm just going to talk about it. What I did when I don't just sell shit for the sake of it. I actually think through it before we sell it. I try anyway. Is given that we're going through so much change, I looked at the conversations from the change cycle. So if you think of that roller coaster of change, the going numb, the loss, the coping mechanisms, the having to deal with the change, the co-create, the coming to terms with it and the creating, and then feeling committed and aligned to the future. So that if you go back to your coach training and when we went through that roller coaster of change, these 5 conversations came through thinking around the change cycle. So if anybody asks you why these conversations, we know that these are conversations based on the emotional cycle of change that human beings go through. And as when we set the frames for these conversations, we'll say that when people go through change, there's a natural cycle of what happens for them. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes smaller. It's not necessarily a straight line, it is more of a roller coaster, but we know people go through various stages. And if you want people to integrate into the organization or into the change, the needs are 5 powerful conversations that start to take people through that, so that they don't just get stuck hanging upside down at the top of the roller coaster and we have to send like people to do. So that's important framing for these conversations. They're not just thumb-sucking conversations for the sake of let's have this conversation. We know people go through loss. We know people don't trust. We know there's a lot of excuses for performance. We know people need to find a way to start creating, and we know they want to commit, but they don't know how to commit to it. So that's where the structure of these 5 conversations comes from. Does that make sense when I say that? Is that maybe I should have started with that. So if I'm a line manager, and to Stacey's point, if I'm going to have a conversation with a team member or my team, in a way, these do flow from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I don't care. They can have any of the conversations, but there can be value in having the conversations, having a care conversation, a connect conversation, but for different people, you may realize they have different needs. So the change conversation that we had been playing with there is care about the impact of the changes on your people. This is really helping them explore the loss. And of course, not all of us are emotionally mature enough when it comes to loss. Most leaders think that when somebody tells them what's going wrong, they have a bad attitude or they must fix it. You know, like either they become the bully or the rescuer. The drama triangle kicks in quite quickly. So that would be a nuance of this conversation that we would need to bring into that map, if that makes sense. And if once we go through this, we need to change the maps, we can do that. The next conversation we've put here is how do you build or repair trust with people? So build if you don't know them, but repair if somehow people feel betrayed, people feel abandoned, people feel rejected, people feel hurt, people feel like you've pulled the wool out from underneath them, whatever it is. So how do you build connection both intellectually and emotionally? And what I mean by that is that people trust your intentions and trust that you care about them. So and also you need to demonstrate trust. So this has got a lot to do with trust. So you can see this is now where the shit hits the fan, because like now each of these conversations is quite rich in the emotional depth of what the conversation is about. So we need to take that and simplify it into this template so that we get the core components of it. Change conversation 3 is how do we clear the path of obstacles? So when people go through change, it's very easy for them to find why it's not going to work. Like that's natural and normal. And we don't want to say like, oh, you just get over it, build a bridge. Actually, the obstacles are things that people are facing, and then whenever they say they're facing a difficulty, there's something underneath it. So how do we approach this in a way that actually truly finds what the challenges are? Change conversation, yeah?
So I was thinking what Fawn is here.
Yes.
So there's a guy who's written a book called 16 Reasons People Don't Do What They're Supposed to Do and What to Do About Them. And people don't do stuff not because they're stupid, because they don't know what to do. Often there's 14 or 16 reasons that people just don't do what they're supposed to do. Yeah. And by knowing what those are, we can work through what those are. Those are in fact the obstacles, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Then we've got Change Masterclass 4, which is about how do we create alignment and excitement for what's possible. So this is now, and I mean, you can't do 4 if somebody's at 1, at stage 1. So we will do the pre-framing of the stages of emotional change. But this is alignment. We actually read a really good article the other day. I will post it for all of you, is the cost of false alignment. where we think we're aligned, but we're not. And they had 3 things that happen. People get very busy doing the wrong things. People keep talking about things they think they should be doing, but they're not doing. I'll post that article for us as well. So this is about building alignment and getting people invested in building the future. And then obviously, how do we commit? People are non-committal until they decide it's worth their energy. And we often don't get to a commitment kind of conversation. So now you can see, like, the templates, in a strange way, the easy part and the hard part, because what I was trying to do is create a template that can hold enough structure for us to get to the complexity of each of these things, but show the difference of it. And hopefully that works. Like, as I said, I would have much, pardon me, wanted to have this all sorted for you. So, chat. Somebody put some in the chat box.
No, I just said for conversation 5, we often get to agreement, but agreement is not commitment or even alignment.
No. So this is where this is why they pay us, because nobody else knows this stuff like we do. Like, we are facilitators of change, and we know the depth of what can be going on. Taven is phoning me from Darapi.
Shall I take the call? Let me take the call.
I think it's finished already.
Okay.
Yeah, it's finished. We can phone him back now. So the other 3 conversations that you would have seen, and like, this is a bit harder to figure out if this is conversation or just a change masterclass. So these 5 that I've shown you here, I know can work with the template we've got. These 3, they've asked us for employees. They would like it to be conversations as well, so we can look at how this can be conversations. But it's a conversation of how to find my power in the midst of change. So most people feel powerless. They feel like it's been done to them. They feel like they have no choice. But if they can start entering into conversations with questions around, what do I need to know so I start knowing what choices I can make and what I can do and that sort of thing. So these are very different. One's a line manager to the employee, the other's the employee, having a conversation either with themselves or someone else or their line manager. But it's conversations that get them to own their power a bit more. How do I deal with anxiety of the unknown? So again, to your question, Heather, I think these are where we can bring in some of the calm and the chaos principles that we know about and start to get more people in the organization to know about it. My personal agenda is, I don't care if this is conversations. I think people just need to know they're not alone and how to work through some of the shit that's going on for them. And I'm quite happy if we structure it as a conversation with myself first before I have conversations with other people. So it's a conversation I have with myself about my anxiety. And then conversation 3 is, how do I create a future I want through this change, not having to comply with what the bank wants. I think for today, though, if you're willing for us to play with these 5, we can then play with the other 3. And those of you, if you feel like you have some capacity and would like to partner with Eric and I in helping to co-create some of the content of these, I'm not going to say no at this point. Would it be worthwhile if we put together sort of 5 groups, and each of you can take one of these conversations and just look at, if we did a masterclass on this conversation, what would we put into that map? Could that work for us to do that? Yeah, are you happy to do that?
Yeah.
I think full well that it's a starting point, and I'm very happy for you to give that content to us, and then we'll play around with it. And if, as I've said, if any of you are thinking this is very super fucking cool and want to help put together some of the others and build it with us, we're happy to do that. All right, so Eric, are you happy to go into a group as well? All right.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. I will put on the WhatsApp group as Eric has asked. I will do that. Let me just try and stop shit. What the fuck is going on here? I'm not sharing anymore, hey? No, I'm not. I'll put on the conversations and I'll put on the template we've created. So once I put you in the breakout rooms, I'll send both of those on the WhatsApp group. So I'm going to do it this way. Let's do the small breakout room. Based on what you've seen, do any of you want to work on a specific conversation? So do any of you have a desire to work on a specific conversation? The first conversation is the care one. The next one is the trust one. The next one is the obstacle one. Then we've got the alignment one and the commitment to the future. Any of you have like, I really want to work on that one? Is that Nomatemba? Yes?
Okay.
Okay. Nomatemba's in room 1 for care. Anybody else have a deep desire to work on one of the things specifically? Nope. All right. Okay. Hilda's with AI notes, which is not useful. I mean, like you and AI can have a chat. Natasha, are you able to participate in this?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How does Brendan and Sophia always end up in the same fucking rooms together?
Just let it be one time. Just one time.
How is it? How is it even possible? All right, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm going to tell you what's happening here and tell me if you want to change. I've got room 1. Room 1 is going to be the Change Conversation Masterclass 1. So it's the care one. Okay? Lilani, Nadine, and Nomatemba. Are you all happy to do care? Then room 2 is Eric and Heather. You're going to do the trust conversation. Are you happy with that? So you're going to do Conversation Masterclass 2. Room 3 is going to be Clear the Path of Obstacles. That's Brendan, Nicolette, and Sophia. Yeah. I might change that actually. 4 is Create Alignment, which is Marie and Stacy. You happy with that? And then 5, which is about Commit to the Future, is Hilda and Natasha. I'm thinking of taking somebody out of room 3 to room 5, just because Natasha's online as well, is in the car as well. So Brenda, Nicolette, or Sophia, who would like to go to the Commit conversation? Brenda. Okay. Nicolette and Sophia, you're going to work on the Clear the Path of Obstacles. It's 25 past. Can we do 15 minutes, 20 minutes in the group? What do you think, Eric? 15. 15. Is that what this means? 15.
Yeah, 15 is great.
Okay, we'll do 15 minutes. I'm very happy to come into the conversation, so I'm happy to pop into each. So I'll just pop around, but if you want me to come into a conversation, just send me a WhatsApp. So I'm going to send you to the rooms, and then I'm going to send you the information on the WhatsApp group. Happy? So try and stick to the template and what you would put in the template for the specific things. If you're wanting to write up some notes that you can send me afterwards, and one of you is willing to just be the scribe, you can do that as well, even if it's just under the headings. That would be useful. That car looks very cool, Brendan. All right, open all rooms. Okay.
print that roadmap, please?
I'll do it for you now.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's very done. Where else do I write notes? Right. Conversation 2. Build safety with the person. Thank you. I've got, I don't know if you can see it, but alright, build a conversation. Let me take this keyboard off. Build a conversation, yes, feel safe. The next thing I think is, so where they come from? They come from the care, they come from intellectual and emotional. I think that's important. The intellectual
try. Was that hard to do? Or was it easy to do? Or was it somewhere in between those two things?
So I can give you some reflections if you're interested.
Yeah.
No, it was great. There are a couple of reflections Heather and I had at the end of our session. The first one is it's quite useful to reflect that each conversation follows on the other one. So we were doing conversation 2, and I kept saying they've already processed the loss. They've already been exposed to the loss. So once they've done that, what's our job now?
Yeah.
But where we're coming from isn't on the map, funnily enough.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that's
But
useful because then we can decide if we need to change that, yeah?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Then for me, I don't know what it was like for Heather, but there's quite a lot of, a little bit of overlap in terms of the way I thought of the destination is the framing. What's the purpose of this conversation? How long is it going to take? That kind of thing. So I don't know if it's not worth kind of taking a few of these stuff you said, it's quite full of these things out. Like the local attractions is also framing. What are we going to see when we get there? So, like, okay, this is the conversation we're going to have. This is what we're going to see when we get there. All of that framing stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this is
All
an
right,
important part
that's
of the iteration of it. So we can design it and then we refine it and design and refine
yeah,
it.
exactly. I'm wondering if we need destination and local attractions and driver readiness. All of these driver readiness is important. I wonder, like, if it's going to be framing, what is that? If it's going to be state, what is that? Like, even passenger briefing is framing, really, in a way.
Yeah, it's all
All right, I've
framing.
had
It's
enough.
just getting them to look
I've
at
said
it.
enough now. I've said enough. I'm going to stop talking.
Okay, well, I'm aware we have 12 minutes and 5 classes, 5 conversations. So, I guess the first question I can ask is, who has to drop off at 2 and or who's willing to stay on a bit longer after 2? Let me just have a look at our diary. I've got a meeting at 2:30 with Botswana.
We've got a Botswana meeting.
Yeah. But is anybody having to drop off at 2 or are you guys willing to go a little bit? So Hilda, you need to go off at 2 and Lilani 2?
2:30 is fine. Perfect, Aaron.
2:30?
As well.
Nicolette?
I need to leave at about 2:05.
Okay. All right, so then let's get Hilda and Nicolette's group's reflections first. I'm well aware there's going to be overlap. Please know that everything you're sharing is not cast in stone. It's really useful for Eric and I to just get like what you've thought about. We can then refine it. And before I get the feedback, I'm going to ask if any of you feel like you would like to participate in trying to refine these further. So it won't be on the call today, but you're willing to do it. So Safia and Hilda, you're both putting up your hands. So I'll get in touch with you and we can do that.
If I have availability, Darren, I'd love to be involved as well, please.
Okay, Safia, Hilda.
Which conversation were Nicolette and Hilda in?
I'm going to find out now. Okay.
We
All
were
right.
in commit.
So you were
Hilda
in
and
number
Brenda.
5.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hilda, you were number 5 and then you were with Brendan and Natasha. Okay. And I'm quite aware, as Erica said, that we may look at the template and say, like, actually, we never fill in any of these sections, and actually, this is missing and that. So I'm quite comfortable, like, as I said, we align and refine. So Hilda, Brendan, and Natasha, give us your reflections. I'm going to say in the next 5 minutes. So you don't need to go into recreating the whole conversation. It's just kind of like what you would transfer to us, and then we can always pick it up with you a little bit more if we need to later. But what stood out for you about the commit conversation?
Go ahead, Hilda.
Okay. I suppose that our big takeaway was that it's to get people to make decisions. So to commit, I mean, looking at your document, it was commitment is about making decisions. So it's how do we as leaders have conversations that facilitate people to getting them to make decisions. So that was sort of the destination. The route choices was the hat, haircut, tattoo, maybe as an option to orientate people to what type of decision am I actually making.
Oh, that's useful.
The driver readiness in terms of the mood is obviously the purpose of this conversation is to create momentum because we want to move things forward, move them along, smart decisions fast. I know that's not appropriate for here, but that's sort of the thinking. Hazards were realizing people are not committed and that maybe they are stuck. Sorry, my cat has decided to join the conversation. So it's realizing that maybe people are not committed. And so it's that looking at agreement is compliance, whereas commitment is belonging, maybe as some form of a frame.
Okay.
I don't know, am I missing anything else, Brendan?
Yeah,
Natasha?
the other thing we discussed about, but we don't know where to put it in. I suppose it goes under fears. It also goes under hazards, I guess, is that people are scared of commitment. You as a leader need to almost create the space that, or to say to the person, we're gonna make this decision. It's your job to make this decision, but I'm gonna have your back no matter what the decision is that's being made, right? If we make the decision and it goes wrong, like it's all good. If you make the decision and it goes right, it's all good. So it's eliminating that fear. We really started discussing, what makes people not want to commit, but we realized that goes back to the care and the connection and the alignment and all of that, right? So we realized for the first half of our conversation we were talking about the wrong thing, because we were looking 4 steps backwards.
But I think what
we
you've
also
said is useful because if they're seeing non-committal, what previous conversation do you need to go back and have? So I think that's okay.
Yeah. We also said, like what makes people want to commit is that they feel like they belong and they feel like, my leader. So our original destination was almost seeing what's important for that person, right? This is the decision we need to make, and this is the commitment that needs to be made. But what's important for that person? But I suppose we said that goes back to care and connection and creating the alignment in the first place. So yeah, yeah.
Okay. I think
And I suppose the main fear is consequences, right? Because people are so afraid of the consequences that's what keeps them paralyzed from making a decision.
Oh, the other thing we said was, well, because it says, commit to the future, is do people feel like they're a part of the future or do they feel like they're just being dragged along for the future? So I don't know, we can play with that, I guess, but yeah.
Okay, Natasha, you want to add anything?
Brendan and Hilda covered everything. Thank you.
Okay. All right, perfect. That's helpful. I think the hats, haircuts, and tattoo also helps as a language and to try and give some structure to it. Nicolette, which group were you in? I know you also need to leave early.
With SAF, clearing the path of obstacles.
Okay, so that's number 3. Okay. All right, do you and Sofs want to share a bit about that? And then let's see what comes up there.
Saf, you want to go? Sure. So one of the ideas that we explored was this idea that, so first of all, we also found that there was a duplication of where we could locate things on the map. And then also one of the first ideas was as part of driver readiness or hazards, the fact whatever the team member is going through, there's a high probability that the leader, the manager is also going through it. They don't necessarily have a say in it. And so that will impact state and that will impact their tolerance for what is happening and what their objections of the team members are.
Okay, that's useful. That's why they need to come on the employee 1 too.
Sorry?
They need to come on the employee 1 too to manage their own anxiety
Yes.
and all that sort of stuff as well. Okay.
Yeah, we had a similar.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's not their daddy shop. It's like they're all employees in a huge organization. The next one was the idea of what resists persists. And so you can ignore it, but it is there, it's front and center. Another idea was resistance is actually a sign of commitment. And so it's reframing the idea that
Okay.
resistance is annoying. It's actually the absence of resistance that is the most frightening. And so that would be like one of those myths.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
In terms of how to approach the conversation, it's about getting to a state of curiosity. Maybe one thing that can be recorded on the map that they have is what are the assumptions they're making.
Okay.
One of the assumptions that we assume a lot of leaders make is that they have to solve problems. And there we came to my business, your business, and God's business, and that repeats on a number of different occasions.
Okay. I really quite like this idea of one tool for each conversation. So the hat haircut thing, the my business, your business, God's business, these could all be like if there's one key thing for each conversation. I think that's quite cool. Okay.
Then the next element of beyond curiosity, Nicolette was really dying to go into all 8Cs, and we were like, girlfriend, I ain't got no time.
But I do wonder if there's a way of putting the 8Cs across the conversation. So if the sort of state to show up in, if we linked it to the 8Cs and compassion and care is the first one, curiosity, like there might be a way of linking the 8Cs to each conversation that could also be quite cool. So Nicolette will weave it in, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Karen. And not just for others, but for self. So for both.
Yeah. That's why I had it written when you mentioned curiosity. I wrote down 8Cs, so I was on your page.
The next C that we did add in was the blend between compassion and care. And the way in which we demonstrate, the leader would demonstrate care is to listen.
Yeah.
And by doing the assumptions, they will have a better capacity to listen and to listen to what actually is there. And then the next element is to step into an exploratory mindset. And this is to counteract this idea that I've got to have all the answers. Then the next element is to actually name what the issues are, what the obstacles are.
Okay.
Well, acknowledge them and name them if they are possible. And the idea of validating comes in here.
No, the template's not going to work. I'm debating the template in my head.
The templates will work. We need to just be a bit more sharp about which bits we've got, but it will definitely work. It's an excellent template.
We don't feel that in a 2-hour session with a lot of people, all the elements we are listing is going to be used, but we just want to list what we came
that's
up with.
perfect. It's perfect. It's very helpful.
I mean, after naming the obstacles or acknowledging and validating them, it is to say, so what choices do we have?
Yeah.
Invite choice, we're back to exploratory, and to name what we are able to commit to, or what we need for commitment.
Yeah, which takes us to the commitment conversation. Okay, perfect. That's very helpful.
Oh, and then one of the things we said was it is vitally important that there's a frame around becoming uncomfortable with the awkwardness of the change and not having the answers.
Okay.
And in that, making them part of the solution.
Yeah, it's the ownership stuff. Cool. All right. Anything you want to add, Nicolette? Anything else you want to add?
Saf has a beautiful way of wrapping it all in.
It's very helpful. It's really very helpful. Gives me much better starting point than trying to figure it all out from scratch. So very helpful. I know Nicolette and Hilda, you probably need to leave us. So Hilda, what's your day like tomorrow?
It is good.
Okay.
That should be good. I can make time available. That's not a problem.
Okay, I'll be in touch around maybe taking the next step tomorrow with all these. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and your input and your energy. Nicolette, thank you. It was very nice to see your beautiful face. I haven't seen it for so long. So it was very nice.
Thank you. Look forward to giving you all hugs on Friday.
Yeah, I'll see you then. Cheers,
Okay,
babe.
cheers.
Bye. All right, which group wants to go? Lalani needs to also leave early-ish, so let's get Lalani. I think you said past, but let's just go with you because you named it. Which group were you in?
Care, Darren, the first one.
So you're with Norma Temba and who else was there? Norma Temba,
Nadine.
Lalani and Nadine, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me your thinking.
Norma Temba, you put your hand up for this one. Would you like to start us off and we'll
I'm happy to. I'm happy to with care. With care. The first one, Taryn, I guess it's actually the question itself, along with driver readiness. I think the team went and said, what loss are you facing through this change? And just this framing, because that section is the first one in terms of connection and safety. And not all change is necessarily loss, certainly that we feel. And we thought maybe in driver safety is allowing the full spectrums of emotions to coexist, because you can hold the loss and the excitement of the future both in the color, in the emotional wheel situation. And I think when we framed it with just loss, we started getting into grief and what grief said and the sadness. But we're thinking, and Nadine brought up a nice example that when you're emigrating and you're thinking you grieving your past, however, you're looking forward to the future, or you're excited with the new adventures. And so we just wanted that driver safety and even just framing that section and the question to hold all emotions in care, not just loss.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess then within that context, the driver readiness and the questions that we're asking is then the openness to emotions and having an allowing whatever comes through to in trust and in safety. So
Okay.
yeah. So I think that's my part, but I'll let my other team members make the next inputs.
Perfect.
Thank you, Norma. So just simply to add to what Norma Temba has said, we felt that the permissioning for emotion is something that is important in this care conversation. So words like grief and naming emotions is welcome. So possibly a tool could be something as simple as the emotions wheel. I know we often do one-word check-ins, but like perhaps offering something like that for people to use in conversations could be useful,
Could
because
be the
people.
steering wheel. Can we have the motion steering wheel?
Oh, yes.
Steering wheel.
Ooh, yes, like a steering. That's
Yes.
brilliant, Darren. Because there could be excitement, fear, curiosity, irritation, many things, right? Also, just to add, whilst holding in care, the feelings, the emotions, and the grief and the loss that is felt from the change. Under the music or the WIIFM, this would then fit in, right? Because you're tuning into your teammates or your team members' emotions and what they're feeling. But we did speak of how it is perhaps important to mention that past changes and emotions experienced in those changes are not necessarily the same here. So it's an invitation to ask oneself, what are you feeling in this change? So that it's not music playing in the background of looping bad experiences. Don't know if I'm wording this appropriately, Nadine and Nomathemba. So yeah, that was under the myths or the music.
Yeah, I think it's an important point from a slightly different. I think their past changes are impacting them. So I think trying to separate it out, I mean, I think it's what we've always said, one loss is all losses. So actually you come into this with a story about the past stuff. And to what extent is that impacting the way you're showing up in this? So I think it's an important point. And I think asking people to separate it out may not be the thing that actually helps them, but rather to acknowledge past experiences are preparing me for this. And so how do I make it a different experience if that is, or what's unprocessed? So there's a very important link there. I think that that's really important what you've said. Okay.
Nadine, would you like to add anything?
I think you've both covered what we've said. I think one of the things was what you're moving away from and what you're moving towards, which Nomathemba mentioned about, like for example, if you moving house, for example. So this would be like changes happening in your environment. So what are you moving away from and what you're moving towards? And it's kind of like a reframe. The other thing with care is an acronym might be CONNECT, and we spoke a lot about how the line manager is going to be having a conversation with a person, a team member, or someone that reports into them, and their state management. That there was a lot of talk around that, and then we were debating about what mood you need to be in and what skill sets they're going to have. So I think there is some sort of skill set that needs to be shared. Yeah, the emotion. Nomathemba mentioned a lot about presencing. A lot of things came up about being able to hold without judgment that the person's experience is what they're going through. So we were debating about, like, not sure about that. An acronym for care, I don't know if this would be useful, is CONNECT, acknowledge, and reassure is maybe not the right one, but reassure, and then empower. Maybe useful or not, I don't know.
How about reflect instead of reassure?
Yeah, there we go. Much better. Yeah. Connect, acknowledge, reflect, empower.
That's very nice. I was writing down something around your judgment stuff.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's what Safia was saying is that the person that's doing this is also going through change. And it's that mirror that they're not going to be clean. And they're going to, like, what's theirs versus what's mine.
Nadine said, can the leader hold without judgment what they're going through?
Yeah. The question I was writing down when she said that is, can you just witness?
Yeah.
So, like, I think there's a witness, like, there's a witnessing that builds connection here. Like, I can, not disinterestedly, but can I witness your story without saying it's the right one or the wrong one? I can just witness that's your truth.
Lolani mentioned it's a space container, it's a holder. Can the person holding space for that person to process what they need to, or even just acknowledge that this is grief, if it is grief.
I mean, I think it's very powerful because, you know, the whole thing about grief is, can you just get the person to talk through what happened?
Yeah.
So if we can get them to talk through what happened, then that's the acknowledge part, you know, connect, acknowledge. Can I just say, all right, what did you go through? What has happened? Because that's really the first step of taking them through it,
Yeah, I think the write-up we said there's what are the stories they're telling themselves. So I think there can be that, like, can you just witness their story, like reading a book, like it's their story, it's like valid. So I quite like this CARE acronym you've come up with. I think it could be with the emotional steering wheel.
Yeah. And then we're also a bit like, where does things fit in, like driver readiness versus destination? What's the purpose? And then we were talking about, is the driver readiness the part of the person having the conversation and the destination? So we were a little bit confused with that. Well, I was. I don't know if anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, so we can simplify that as well, and we can start seeing. I mean, I guess the driver readiness to the passenger readiness is almost doing a self-other. What's going on for me? What's going on for them? And based on that, what do you want to do? Because I think often there's like what's going on for me or only what's going on for them. So I think that self-other reflection can be, but we'll play with that. Okay.
I hope that was useful.
To add as well, we didn't discuss this, but based on what we said earlier of allocating the C's to the different conversations, connection and compassion might be quite useful here. Possibly even curiosity, if this is a witnessing of the person's experience. So to be curious about that. Those are 3 C's that feel as if they could be prominent. But of course, can shift.
And I'm happy to help if you need an extra person.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. It's probably going to be tomorrow, so that'll be the next question as what's people's days like tomorrow. Okay, perfect. Any of the 3 of you need to drop off, or are you happy to hang around to listen to the other 2 groups? All right.
Hanging out.
Hanging around. All right, so we've got Heather and Eric and Brenda. No, Heather and Eric and Marie and Stacey. Stacey dropped off. No, Stacey's in the background somewhere. Stacey, you with us?
Yes, sorry, my camera just keeps going off, but I am here in the background.
Okay. Marie and Stacey, do you want to take us through your thoughts, and then I'll get from Eric and Heather. Which conversation were you guys doing?
4.
We did create.
Okay. What?
Yes.
Do you want to go, Stacey? Do you want me to go?
I'm happy for you to go. I think you took our notes, so that'll be great.
Okay. So we really tried to flow with the map and see what happened. And it was really cool how the meeting point almost flowed into the what if there's hazards now, what kind of conversations do we have to have, and how that naturally kind of flowed into, okay, now we need a pit stop. We have different viewpoints. We might not agree on certain things. So how do we recalibrate? How do we realign? And then the pit stop almost naturally popped into that.
Okay.
Just to take a breather to see the other person's perspective. We didn't say this when we chatted, but what's coming up for me now is just the eagle eye view of the situation and what's actually going on. A lot of our conversation was around the driver ready, passenger and vehicle safety, and how important for all of them, from listening to everybody, how important the conversations are, but really having a conversation and listening to the other person and acknowledging what they're going through and what they're experiencing as well, not just for yourself. And I think we've said this before as well. So having an open mindset, and even though you're prepared, being flexible for things to change. And what would happen if things would change? Can you recalibrate and realign? Something that also came up here was how important truth speaking is. So having open and honest conversations. And I wrote down again the listening. So having the conversations, but always listening to the other persons. We also said co-creation is about the listening, not telling. It's a dual thing. It's a double arrow. It feels like so little now, Stacey. Am I missing anything?
I think
no.
Sorry, go, Stace.
No, I was going to say, I think a lot of our things did overlap in terms, and similar to what the other groups had said, like in terms of the passenger briefing, the driver safety, all of those kind of, like there were similar sort of framings and aspects under all of those points, I think was sort of also one of our big takeaways.
Yeah.
What you made me think of when you were talking is that you started on the map differently. Instead of doing purpose and readiness and that sort of thing, you started with meeting points and then you flowed with that, and then because of that went to the readiness stuff. And that's actually an interesting perspective of actually maybe that's a way of doing it. Like, where are we meeting? What's going to happen? What are your options? What are your choices? And because of that, now what's the purpose and what's the readiness and that sort of thing. I hadn't thought of it like that, so that was quite useful. And you really got this sort of flow of listening and sharing and listening and sharing and listening and sharing, which I guess alignment is about connecting the dots and flowing with it, as opposed to being on opposite sides and arguing it, sort of thing. I mean, I guess that there's something there. So, okay, perfect.
Yeah, we didn't really get to the excitement part, but I suppose
Yeah,
when you're
excitement can be an outcome. I don't
appropriate.
think it's something you
Yeah,
can create.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's one of the things you'll notice if it's there. Like, it'll be that'll be one of the local attractions. You know, the attractions will be the excitement. But if it's like not there, then okay, perfect,
Cool.
very helpful. Eric and Heather, we left the best for last.
Huh.
Huh.
We also started with the beginning. I think we started with driver readiness, but I took notes in a slightly different way. Are you happy that I continue, Heather? Heather's first point, which is so beautiful, is you have to build safety with the person you're talking to. So this is about connecting, building or repairing trust with the people in your team. So the insight there was, these are different people now. Suddenly, I'm a different leader. I've got different people in my team. Things have changed. So the first thing we have to do is create safety between the leader and and in the team, connect and make safety. So that was, I thought, a very, very powerful point. The meeting point we had is you may need tissues in the room. And you may need a whiteboard and an eraser. You don't need those for later conversations, but for this one, still probably you may need some tissues, certainly for the first one you're going to. And then we had destination and framing. How long is the meeting? What the purpose is? And the purpose is to essentially, the way we thought of it is, this is a mental and emotional trust. So what does that mean? The mental frames are, what are the benefits, what are the disadvantages and benefits of this change? And the emotional ones are, where did you feel disappointed and what are you looking forward to? So there's the excitement. Because if I can listen exactly as the other people have said, if I can listen to the disappointments and listen to the mental disadvantages of this is never going to work, then we can face those. And we said you can't change anything you can't face.
It's a bit of a clearing session.
A little bit of a clearing session in a way. How long? So the driver readiness is, you're allowed to say how you feel. You're allowed to disbelieve that this will work. I'm not going to take it personally. You're allowed to also be excited if you want to be, but it's not a bad attitude. The hazards we've identified were, what if people just don't want to come to the meeting? I guess that's a different conversation.
Wow.
And so this point is, fuck you, I'm not going.
Back up here.
And then we also had this, exactly as Safia says, the awareness that the leader is also going through change. And so they may agree. Yeah, you're right. This is a shit show. We should. So people are going to express how they feel. This is not a bad attitude. And what we said there was, if the leader is being, I don't want to say the word triggered, but if the leader is finding himself or herself colluding with what's going on, one of the ways to presence, in Nomatemba's words, presence himself or herself as a leader is to just summarize what he's hearing. Rather than, if you can just summarize, okay, this is not project what I think I'm hearing, but just what am I hearing? What have I missed? So the skills of the driver readiness was, am I going to be open to negative emotions? Not being rushed to get to stage 5. We're only in stage 2 here. Manage exactly as Safia says, my own state around the change. And Heather said toxic positivity. And then the pit stop is how check in with myself. How am I reacting to this feedback? So I've got it all written up as notes, but that's what I've got for you. Well, that's what we've got for you, actually.
Perfect. Do you want to add anything, Heather?
No, Eric got it all. Thanks, Eric.
Oh, and you know what Heather also said is, I said at the beginning, where are we coming from? So what we realized is that we don't want to talk about loss and grief because loss and grief has been covered already. We're taking it the next step. It's the clearing session now. It may be that they have to have another loss and grief conversation. I've got no problem with that. But this is not that conversation. This is the connect, build, repair, trust conversation.
No, that's why it's quite useful to say this is in and out of this conversation. We know that actually there's a flow to it, but like to have the core distinguishing factor of this conversation is, of course, it can bleed into others, but know what's core to this. Sophia?
One of the thoughts that I'm having is that I don't know where it happens or if it happens repeatedly, but we kind of have to name that you can't lead in the absence of conversation and you can't change in the absence of conversation. It's the one instrument that technology can't.
Yeah, I think there'll be some sort of frames that are constant at the beginning, and that's one of them, the power of a conversation to create change. You can't lead or you can't change in the absence of a conversation. Okay, this has been very useful. So, I have a day, I don't want to say a day free, that just is a complete illusion. But I have a day available tomorrow to work on this and others. So, Sophia, what's your day like tomorrow? You're on mute. You're on mute. That's very cool, Eric.
The only things that I can't move is a coaching session at 11 and one at 3. For the rest.
Okay. What I might then do is for those of you that are willing to be part of it that are available tomorrow, maybe we'll do a check-in early tomorrow morning and then come up with a bit of a way to work through the day together if we can do that. So if anybody wants to be part of that, I know Eric and Natasha are busy. Brendan, what are you doing tomorrow?
Changing gears.
I'm available.
Okay.
Changing gears.
Do you want to be part of this?
It did look like I was changing. Yes, please. I did say yes earlier.
It was very funny when you were standing up walking around in your car. Just do it again so everybody can do it. Just very quickly stand up. It's very, very funny to watch. I go, now walk backwards. And then like now he's standing in his car. It's like very funny. It's very funny. All right, so
Brendan went.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I hope that you've all found this valuable. I'll check out now, but it certainly has given a lot. I mean, it's been a very powerful 2 hours just to help refine the thinking and the approach. The first conversation is next Wednesday. The trick is from Wednesday on next week, Eric and Brendan and myself and Stacey are all at a conference, and then I go to Greece for 2 weeks. So in a way, we're going to need to try and brief, but I think between some of you that are working tomorrow, I might even ask you to take briefing responsibilities for the different conversations so that we can get the sort of drumbeat around it. I mean, we do have the other 3 conversations as well, but this is really given structure. Like, I really like being able to come back to the C's and like one model, a clear conversation around it. I think the idea that one's got emotions, one has got these things, I think we can start to design it. So personally, for me, I don't know, Eric, if it's the same for you, but it's been very useful to get everybody's thoughts around it and been able to put it together, so we can offer something quite cool. So, I mean, we've got 4 minutes left before we sing Botswana, but not the whole of Botswana, just one team in Botswana that we're seeing. We're actually just seeing the CEO of the one team. But maybe we can just quickly go around and say what has today, these 2 hours, given you? What has been valuable for you? I really hope that you don't get irritated that you have to co-create as opposed to receive, but choosing to believe you like it because you all seem to show up for it, so I'll do that. But let's start.
Well, I'll go first.
Yeah.
It was, for me, it was like a little masterclass, actually, to reflect, this kind of meta reflection on this conversation was like a little masterclass. So thank you, Taryn.
Oh, thank you enough. Subs, what's been useful for you?
Yeah, likewise. And I think the idea of tying it all into this idea of navigation, because all of it is navigating, and that feels a bit more cohesive.
Okay. Yeah. We did think of changing it to navigating by the stars, but that's a little too complicated for people right now. I'm not there yet. Marie.
I actually got alignment and excitement.
From being able to participate in it.
Yes, yeah, and just how it all connects and fits together, like everything that we do. It's just, I'm really excited. So thank you.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. Nadine?
Yeah, it's very cool. I agree with what everyone said, particularly Eric, who said that it's almost like a mini masterclass and this meta view of conversations that I wish I had these children. I was going through change management in the bank. Yeah, it's been very powerful. For me, there's a lot of like, it's so ironic. The care thing for me is what I've been grappling with in my head with memories from when I was in corporate. So it's been quite apt for me. It's actually been healing. So thank you very, very much.
Oh, wow. Okay. Lalani?
Tying into, I guess, what Nadine shared, thank you, Nadine. This idea and this knowing that I'm involved in work where we can use words like emotions and grief in boardrooms and spaces. It's really cool. I have a card here on my desk. It's very short. It's around work. I'm now available to receive all who can benefit from my work. Use me to relieve suffering on the planet. May all who need me find me. And this is a channel for that. So I'm feeling very goosebumpy.
Oh, cool. Well, we get to do good work. We make a difference, I think. Norma
Thank you for
Temba?
that.
Thank you, Lalani.
Oh, it's lovely practicing my coachy skills of creating. Got me my creative brain, but definitely can't lead or change without conversations. Oh, power.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Heather, my love.
Okay, I'm off mute. Yeah, I think what was valuable for me was actually just seeing how all of the 5 conversations tie into each other. So yeah, just how they all connect. That was very cool. And yeah, if I'm available, I'm happy to sit in tomorrow as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
I'll put a message on the group and we'll see, because if we can have a bit of a working day tomorrow on it, I think we can really get quite far on it as well. Brendan.
I think it's what we said in our commitment little session. It's like people feel a lot more committed to things when they feel like they're a part of it. So yeah, committed's probably the right way.
Okay. Beautiful. We need to go to Botswana. We will talk to you soon. Thank you very much for all your time and effort. I love you all madly, and we'll chat soon. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.